Hey guys, this is Ranchin here, bringing you a stock of commentary. I have DejaVu alongside me today to bring you the first set between Free and HiyA on Fighting Spirit today. Gonna get colors and position that away before I start chatting along. The upper left-hand position, the 11 o'clock, we're gonna have the blue Protoss Free. Bottom right-hand position, we're gonna have HiyA and what I believe to be yellow, of course, as the Terran player. So done with the rest of the stuff. We've had some epic matchups here and there. Altogether, good stuff. Really looking like a promising round of 8, despite the massive, boring, dear God, I want to go to sleep already, TVT macrofest that was Flash versus MVP. But I still feel that was altogether good stuff, good games, and I'm going to get some quick syncing done. 38, 39, 40. So, Deja, what are your thoughts on the matchup here? We got this Protoss Sniper HiyA here, of course, and playing up against Free, who's been really revitalizing his career lately, I feel. So I think I'm going to give him a good chance to beat HiyA here. What are your thoughts?
You know, I think this is going to be a fantastic game. You look at these two guys, HiyA and Free. They're both playing very, very well overall. Both of them, for the past month or two, have been getting a lot of wins in Pro League and definitely here in the MSL as well. I think both of them are out of the OSL already. And like you said, HiyA is really, really good versus Protoss. He's been that way pretty much since he came onto the scene. I always remember him from last year in the Pro League. He was always really good on Coliseum and Coliseum 2. It was always a map that was usually favored for Protoss, but for some reason HiyA just had a good build on it and was always able to take down Protoss. He was undefeated on that map, beating Stork a couple of times, beat this guy Free here even too. So that was definitely cool to see. We know that HiyA can definitely beat Free. He's 1-2 so far against Free in their career. Free actually winning 2 games in WCG Korea last year, I believe. I believe that was last year. But you know, it's sometimes questionable how seriously some of the Koreans really take the WCG tournaments. Some of them, you know, it doesn't really count for their teams and or for money, so it's just a pride thing. And I don't know how much necessarily Free was really too worried about that, but definitely Free is really good at this matchup as well, and we have the potential for a really long game. If you look at this, this is Fighting Spirit, cross positions, TVP, rush distances is going to be so hard. You know Terran, you know HiyA is going to play this smart and probably not going to be pushing too much until he probably gets some upgrades, until he feels really confident. I don't think we're going to see any pushes out from HiyA early on just because of the rush distances, so I think that we could be in for a big-time macrofest, which is always fun to watch TVP, at least I think so. I love watching macrofest PVTs.
Yeah, it's good stuff overall. I think HiyA might just try to stave off Free for a while, get his macro going, get that one fac into Expo going, then maybe slowly get his army up and then go for a 2-1 push, weapons to armor 1 push. I think that would be the safest bet for him. Try to go in there. And I've seen those pushes be very effective. I've seen Midas utilize those pushes extremely effectively. Just always catching his opponents off guard and kind of ripping into them and really doing a great job. HiyA, meanwhile, not going to be able to get the scout off. It might manage to barely sneak by the... Oh, no. Not going to manage to quite yet. Zealot. Oh, still... Oh, barely managed to sneak by the Zealot.
Free fail.
Wow. Still going to... Oh, I see he doesn't really get the scout, though. Not going to spot the Seminary's Core spitting. I'm assuming that's just going to be range. No fake outs or anything of the sort. So, no scout. But on the opposite side, not going to be any scout either. So, Free most likely going to have to go for Observatory to get some scout in there and get an expansion alongside. I'm expecting some fast expanding for Free. He's a guy, he really lately has been playing against Terran, kind of a heavy expansion build. He goes for that base, natural expansion, then tries to expand to a third base real quickly, and it is very comfortable on Fighting Spirit to try to expand towards that 12 o'clock position, try to pick that up for himself. We're going to see what he decides to go with it. But he does not tend to do, I've seen him do that, but he does not a player that feels the need to go for early averages. We're not going to move out, push out with this one single Dragoon, going to be able to put on some pressure, but I don't really think he's going to be able to penetrate this wall at all, though, even despite the fact that a Zealot's going to come up here to reinforce.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to be a nuisance right now until that tank comes out. You see this a lot in PVT. Just try to be annoying, just trying to annoy the supply depot, make a couple SCVs come out. But once that siege tank shows up, as it just did, he's going to have to back off here. And I think Free knows what's coming as well. I'm thinking he's pretty confident that it's a siege expand. We see the second Nexus already going down at the natural, and I think you're right that we're going to see a very, very quick third. I think he's going to stick around a little bit just to make sure that that command center comes up. And as soon as he sees that command center lifted, I think we'll see him safely take a take your third base over there at that 12 o'clock position. He is going for Robo, and yeah, I think you're spot on. I think this is just going to be for observers. He wants to know if maybe a 4-fact timing push, something like that, is coming his way. So he's going to get that observer out as early as possible, maybe try and beat some of the later missile turrets. You see one missile turret coming up right now. Actually, it looks like a second one as well. But he's going to try and get an observer in there while there's still holes in the gap, and just make sure that he gets to see the factory counts. I think that's really the important thing right now. He's getting up a second gateway as well for free, so I think he's just going to be playing pretty standard. This is pretty good play so far by both of these guys, just playing the map. I don't think either one of them is really looking for a push right now, which is the correct way to play this at this point. The command center is going to go and land at the natural expansion, and he's got a couple siege tanks already prepared there, so he's going to be pretty safe here against any sort of reasonable push that would come his way, which is a good spot for HiyA right now. And really, we got to watch the factory count, watch for a starport, see what strategy HiyA is going to do here. If he's going to go for harassment, we could see a couple more factories come down, see a little bit of vulture spam, along with that machine shop would be spinning as well. Or he could also go for a starport build. Both of those would be the ways that we'll see HiyA going for a sort of harassment if that's what we're going to be seeing. And for free, like you said, just going for an observatory, going to get that third base up pretty soon.
Yeah, really liking how some Terran players these days, Midas, I always feel like I'm using Midas as an example these days. Guys impress me like crazy. But the we-made Terrans, I guess you could say, Midas and Baby in particular, against Protoss have been utilizing vultures extremely well. I mean, of course, HiyA not of the same ilk, not the same type of Terran player, but you definitely look at how effective those guys have been, and you might want to, get yourself inspired a little bit. I mean, if you're going to get inspired by a player, Flash and the we-made Terrans, I think, are the guys to be inspired by right now. Citadel of Doom coming up here at the upper left-hand corner, way up there for free, so probably just going to transition into good old standard armory on the bottom right position, so there are going to be upgrades on the way. So for HiyA, just try to keep up, try to get that armory advantage, and also we're going to see whether they're actually going to get forced. I'm not expecting any sort of Goliath stuff here, but of course you're going to need those eventually when the Arbiters come out. Probably going to be seeing the third expansion coming up soon. Not expecting any sort of insane Stargate early Arbiter thing, because I really don't think it's necessary. I really think it's just going to take him too long to get him properly going to make it effective at this point. He doesn't really have enough of an army to really support. I've seen some Protoss players try to go for an early Arbiter and just basically with a very small army, control group and a half maybe, and go and try just to utilize the cloaking, but I just don't feel it's quite enough. I think you need an Arbiter with energy. I think you need some stasis field, some recalls. It is going to be actually, oh man, just as I say that, prove wrenching wrong day today. Stargate and Temple Archives coming up, and HiyA going to be the one that expands the second time right off the bat. Academy on the way, so he's going to have some scans in there. Observatory actually being forced back to the turrets, so it's really good for HiyA. He doesn't, I think he actually knows at this point, just with help of his turrets, he knows that he's preventing those observers to coming in. Might still manage to find a hole. At the very least, should spot the command center if nothing else. But good position overall for HiyA. He's put up a lot of turrets all over the place. Wow, tongue-tied. Pushing all those observers back, and 3 observers already out there, and they're not quite managing to get inside of HiyA's base. So the HiyA, I think, as soon as his comm stations are up, he should be able to go in and scan that Arbiter Tribunal, or at the very least his Stargate coming up.
Yeah, this is going to be very important at the 6 o'clock position, how well HiyA can defend that base. He's got a decent tank count right now, but his Vultures count is still pretty low. He doesn't really have all the upgrades for it. He's got mines, but no speed yet. We do see some mines going down there towards the 6 o'clock position to try and defend it. And the thing is that once that Arbiter comes out, the 2-base Arbiter play is going to be really good at fending off, or at least putting a whole lot of pressure on a quick third by a Terran player. So HiyA's going to need a good wall there, whether I think an engineering bay and 2 supply depots would probably block off that ramp. You might be able to do it with just 3 supply depots, something like that. But yeah, he's definitely going to need a pretty solid block here, as well as some tanks behind in order to defend this. And Free is going to put a little bit of pressure on right now, already taking down the one of the mines defending. If he had a couple Zealots, I think Free could go in there right now, but I think he's going to wait for that Arbiter, get that cloaking up and going, and really start putting some pressure on here. And HiyA just looks, I don't know if he was just really concerned or what that was. That was a weird face from HiyA. His mouth like wide open, like his tongue was almost hanging out there.
He always plays like that.
He does it really well. Yeah. That's pretty funny. But yeah, I think Free is going to have to really do some damage here. I mean, both their bases, their thirds, are going to come up at about the same time. HiyA's is a little bit earlier, which means that Free is really going to have to do something in order to even out the economic impact of these third bases.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing a bunch of factories added in for HiyA, getting his upgrades going. So he's going to get just a huge number of tanks. Free has, of course, smartly pyloned off one of the entrances to his 12 o'clock position, just getting those pylons in there, adding probes in there, getting some High Templar. Not really, haven't seen him very heavy on the Zealot count either, very heavy on the Dragoons. Gonna get some High Templar to support those, because Dragoons are going to be able to easily push back any Vulture attacks, but without any serious amount of Zealots, so tanks are going to be a threat, and they're not really that huge a number of tanks so far that you're going to find with very large clumps, but he's going to get some High Templars out there very early, and that means he's going to be able to slowly get those storms in there. One tank actually milling across the middle and getting picked off by those Dragoons. That was the saddest sigh I've ever heard from you ever, DejaVu. That was like, oh, poor tank. Oh, dear God. Why? But anyway, these Templars are going to be able to get a lot of energy going, so at the very least, they're going to become a very useful asset as the